Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Book Talks with Miss Thomas, and I was very kindly tagged this week by Gina Sanyer at Gina Sanyer Books, and she has a fantastic channel. I mean, I could just sit and watch, and I have watched just video after video after video and purged on Gina Sanyer Books channel. She has sort of a laid back, cozy approach to BookTube, and I really appreciate that because I can be kind of a big stress ball sometimes, and when I need to unwind and relax, I usually turn to Gina's channel. Two words that I've learned from her are well, cozy, I knew the word, but I'd never heard it in the context of a book. This is a cozy book. And now I'm seeing that's kind of a thing. A lot of YouTubers or booktubers talk about cozy books. But I first heard that on Gina's channel. And the other one that just made me laugh out loud the first time I heard her say it was chunkster. She'll say, "This is a chunkster of a book." And I just thought that was adorable. So I don't know if she's coined those phrases or if they're just out there in BookTube, but the first time I heard them, they came from Gina's videos. So I highly recommend her channel, and thank you, Gina, for tagging me. So I have to warn you, I'm feeling a little bit chatty today, so buckle up. This might be a long one. I want to talk to you about the frustrating book tags. All right, so let's get into the book tag questions. So the frustrating book tag questions. Question number 1, name a book that you predicted would be 5 stars but wasn't. Well, the book that I want to talk about was 5 stars according to everyone else. So I went into the book with really high expectations because everyone was talking about it and saying how great it was. And later it was turned into a movie. Now I believe it was turned into a movie after I read the book. But I read the book and I hated it. And I know that's not going to make me popular with some readers, but that's my opinion. I had a really hard time even finishing the book. And I was complaining the whole time. And my husband said, "If you hate this book so much, why are you reading it?" And I said, "Because I want to prove I'm right." And the book, of course, is called Gone Girl. And the reason that I hated the book so much was because I knew going into it that she wasn't dead. I mean, the premise of the book is, did the husband kill his wife? And he's very concerned, is he going to be charged with murder? And he'd like to find his wife. So you're supposed to read it suspecting that he might be, someone who killed his wife. But to me, because the book was called Gone Girl, I knew she was going to come back, And so when my husband was saying, "Well, why do you keep reading this book if you hate it?" Because I want to see if she comes back. I was so sure that she would come back. And then, she comes back, right? I thought the book was pretty predictable. I didn't like it. And I also thought that the violence, especially the things she did to herself, were just disgusting and overkill. So I did not care for Gone Girl. I apologize because I know there are people out there that loved it. I'm not one of them. So it was, I guess, a 5-star book according to a lot of people and according to probably like the New York Times bestseller list and Hollywood. But for me, Gone Girl was like a 0-star book. Didn't like it. Number 2, what book had a great beginning but an ending that let you down? And that one would be Win by Harlan Coben. If you know me at all, if you've ever watched some of my videos, I love Harlan Coben. He is my absolute favorite author. I've read most of his books. And I was anticipating Win. I was really looking forward to Win coming out because, Win is Myron Voltaire's sidekick, and I really like the character Win. And I actually went and paid to meet Harlan Coben, and I heard him speak when he was promoting his book Runaway. I have a picture. I'll try and put it up. And he said when he was promoting his book Runaway, he was talking about Win. Win is actually based on a real friend of his. And so I just liked that character. And when the book Win came out, I was so disappointed. I just really was so disappointed in that book. And the book began pretty well. It began as an interesting book. There's this painting and suitcase that the police present to Win that come from his family. And so the police want to know what he knows about the items from his family because they were discovered, I think, at a murder scene. I really did not like that book. I gave a review on it. I'm embarrassed of the review because it was when I first started booktubing and it wasn't a great review. The technology is not very good, and I was just sort of learning my way as far as talking in front of a camera. But basically, I felt like in the Myron Voltaire series, Win is supposed to be this like very shallow, fun, easygoing friend. And he came across as, they tried to make Win more Myron than Win, I thought, when I was reading it. They tried to turn him into this lofty, deep-thinking guy. And to me, that was very contrary to the character Win in the Myron Voltaire series. And I found his personal rants, or they're not rants, but he'd go into these long, like, internal monologues or whatever they were. I thought it was really annoying and almost condescending, and I just didn't care for that book. So I would definitely go out and read another Harlan Coben book. He's still my favorite author, but Win was a big letdown for me. Let's see. Do you have a book with a pretty cover but an ugly spine? Okay, I had a good time with this question. I thought that was a really interesting question. I could not think of a book with a pretty cover or an ugly spine. And Gina in the Gina Sanyer Books tag, she talked about how a spine had the author's name, but not the title of the book, and that was a little bit irritating to her. And I was looking around the school library today, and I was talking to the school media specialist about this tag and how excited I am. And I was noticing Stephen King's It. Stephen King! It. So definitely that is true. That was an interesting observation that Gina made that I found to be something I noticed in the library too, that sometimes the spines are all author, and it may come across as a bit arrogant. I don't know. Anyway, I looked in the library, and I have not read this book. I just might, because it looked pretty good to me. But this book, I thought, had a really cool cover. It's called Children of Virtue and Vengeance. And I like the cover. It looks really kooky. And I don't think the spine is ugly, but I just think that when the cover is this, wow, the spine was just a little bit meh, how do you go from here, wow, to meh, I mean, it's not an ugly cover. And I like the detailing at the bottom and top that kind of, I don't know, I think it's pretty, but it's just the title. What can you put on a spine, really? I guess you could do some interesting things with a spine, but I just thought the cover really drew me in. I might have to read this one. Put in the comments below if it's a good book and if I should read it. Anyway, I was telling the media specialist, I really can't find an ugly spine. I don't even know how to go about finding an ugly spine. And she said to me, oh, Anne McCaffrey, I think that's her name. Anne McCaffrey is bound to have some ugly spines. Go find her books. So I did. And I'm going to put in a plug for my media specialist because she felt that this was an ugly spine. I definitely think it's uglier. This spine is uglier than this spine. I do like the pretty Kelly Green. But the thing that I was looking at when I was looking at spines and books is when you see a cover that has something intriguing, I think it's reasonable to expect the spine to be consistent with the cover. And this one, I don't know anything about this book. I'm probably not going to read this. I'm probably going to bring it right back to the library and we're going to have a good laugh at school about it. But the cover is Dragon Flight. There's a picture of a dragon, but then on the side, you just see the green spine with the name of the author and the name of the book. And the font's not real endearing either. The color too, I kind of like the color green. There was this putrid orangish like mustard book too by the same author. But I thought it was interesting. This one at least had a nice front, and then the spine, not so nice. So that's what I came up with for question number 3. Okay, question number 4. Do you have a book series that doesn't match? Maybe some are paperback and some are hardcover, or maybe the cover designs were changed halfway through the series. Does it bother you? So off the top of my head, my first answer would be, well, because I love Harlan Coben books and because he's written so many books, I often find them at Goodwill, or I even found Fool Me Once at the library for 25 cents. I was so excited. But sometimes they're hardback, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're not. So my Harlan Coben books are different sizes, and that doesn't bother me at all. But one thing I will say that I think is sort of relevant to the question, because the question asks, it does say, was the cover design changed halfway through? No, but I will tell you, and I'll put a picture of the book cover up top. Karen Slaughter's book, The Good Daughter, the cover utterly baffles me. Now, Karen Slaughter, I may have mentioned in I think in my Buxton book shopping, I saw Karen Slaughter, and I said, I don't read Karen Slaughter. She's too violent for me. I think it was called Pretty Girls, and it was absolutely disgusting. It was just a lot of really graphic, over-the-top depiction of violence, and I felt like it was just unnecessary and almost glorified the violence. So I didn't care for that book, Pretty Girls, at all. And then a friend of mine invited me to meet Karen Slaughter. She was doing an event in our area, and I said, no, I have no desire to meet her. I'm really just that disgusted with her book, Pretty Girls. But a coworker, it was like a secret pal. It was my secret pumpkin, actually. A few years ago. It wasn't last year, obviously, because last year was COVID. But a secret pumpkin gave me, as the big reveal gift, a Karen Slaughter book called The Good Daughter, and invited me to her book club. And I thought that was a wonderful gift, and it was very thoughtful. And she had said to me after she read it, she said, wow, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that the book was going to be that violent. And I said, that's okay. It was nowhere near as bad as Pretty Girls. So actually, The Good Daughter was a decent book. It had a really good plot and a good storyline. I just don't like the graphic depictions of violence. And that one was, a little yucky, but nowhere near as bad as Pretty Girl. And The Pretty Girls, I think it was called The Pretty Girls. And I read The Good Daughter from beginning to end, and I attended the book discussion, and I was really honored to be welcomed there and really looking forward to the book discussion. And they were really nice people, and I enjoyed myself. However, my big question when reading that book is, what does the cover have to do with the book? It just drove me crazy. And the whole time I read the book, I just couldn't figure out what this cover has to do with this story. And I asked the people at the book club, and none of them offered an answer really that I could, I guess, digest or accept. Most of them were just like, meh, I don't know. So, that bothered me. It just bothered me. Maybe I'm a little bit uptight like that, but I think that the book cover ought to have something to do with the book. So I will go into that little rant, and I apologize. Question number 5. Yeah, I can go to question number 5. Is there a book from your youth that you can remember parts of, but cannot remember the name or find anywhere? And I have to give a shout out to Shelley Swearingen. I don't remember which video. I think it was around early October. She posted a video, and she was talking about children's books. And for some reason, her video made me think of a childhood character that I loved named Dory the Witch. And I loved Dory the Witch. And I remembered as a little girl just making a beeline for the Dory the Witch books in the library. I always went straight to Dory the Witch when we were in the library, and I would try to check out her books, the books with Dory the Witch in them. And after I put that comment on Shelley Swearingen's video and she replied, "Oh, I've never heard of that. I'll have to check that out." I had this moment of, well, was there a Dory the Witch? Maybe I have some fuzzy memory of something else. And so I looked online, and sure enough, there is an actual Dory the Witch. And I loved her as a little girl. So I found a video on YouTube of someone reading a Dory the Witch book, and I really enjoyed it. It brought me back to my childhood, but I was also amazed at how much text there was in that book, because I associate that book with my childhood, and it was not like a Dr. Seuss or predominantly picture book. It had pictures, more like sketches, but there was a lot of text. And so I'm not sure, because I had severe dyslexia as a child, so I'm not sure if someone read those to me or if I was older when I discovered Dory the Witch, because I was just, as an adult, looking at the book and all the text in the book and thinking, wow, I could not have possibly been able to read that with dyslexia. So someone must have read it to me, or I must have discovered Dory the Witch when I was older. But I did look on Amazon for Dory the Witch books, and I found one for like $70. I was thinking about asking for it for Christmas maybe, because I did have such fond memories of those books when I was a little girl, and I would like maybe to have a copy. Now, I will tell you a funny story. This question does bring to mind a funny story, and I'm sorry, because it's like 14 minutes into the video and I'm going to take a detour. But if you want to just get settled and enjoy listening, it's a cute little story. So when I was a stay-at-home mom quite a few years ago, I had this job where I could work in the media and look at ads and proofread ads. And I could get home at night so my husband could be home with our son. Now I have two, but at the time I had one son. And my husband could be home with the son, and I could go work at night and then get in and get up the next morning and be with my son all day. So I was a stay-at-home mom, but I did get this part-time job working where I read classified ads and just look for errors and things. And because I got home a little late, my husband, being very protective, good husband that he is, he was always kind of like listening for my car, listening to make sure I got home safely. And this is going to make me sound crazy, but I still stand behind this fact. In my mind, it's a fact that there was a frog that was in our yard that would come and hop up and greet me when I got home at night. And it would come most nights. I would get home from work and I would pull in the driveway and walk from my car to the front porch, and the little frog would come out. And I would talk to the frog and I would say like, "Hey buddy, how's your day today? I had a pretty good day, but I'm tired now. Did you catch any flies today?" Or whatever. I was just talking with the frog. So my husband, he hears voices. He knows I've come home and he hears voices. So he runs to the door and he opens the door and he's like, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "The frog." And he looks around and he's like, "There's no frog." So of course the frog had run away. And I said, "No, there's a frog. He comes out and he greets me and I talk to him and he's orange." Well, he wasn't actually orange, like Orioles Camden Yard orange. We live in the Baltimore area, but he wasn't green. He wasn't like a Kelly green frog. So to me, I said orange. He's really more of a brownish orange. But my husband was like, "Frogs aren't orange. There's no frog." And you could tell he was a little baffled by that. And I said, there was a frog. He came out and he greeted me and he was orange. And I think my husband must have like gotten on the phone with his sister after that and said, "She's talking to a frog. She thinks he's orange. That's a little strange, isn't it?" Because on Christmas, I got this ceramic, really trippy, psychedelic ceramic mushroom for Christmas from his sister. And she said, "It's for your frog." And they were all like watching, for a reaction. And I said, oh, thank you. There really is an orange frog. And I put the mushroom out in the front yard by the front door. And my little frog friend never bothered with that mushroom. But I will say, in case you're thinking at this point, okay, I think this lady may have eaten some mushrooms. Not the case. One time, the frog came out after that and I snapped his picture. So I am able to prove there was in fact a frog. And my husband, I showed him the picture and my husband's like, I don't know where you got orange. Well, it was like a brownish orange frog. But the point is, in answer to the question, yes, I have been accused of imagining some sort of reality that didn't actually happen when it did. There was an orange frog, but it's just a funny little thing in our house. It's like, oh, pay no attention to her. She thinks she talks to an orange frog, which I now have a picture of. So there really was a frog. And I really do think that the frog, when he heard my car, he sort of knew who I was and he would come out, because I'm telling you, every night when I would come home, the little frog would hop to the front door and I would talk to him. I'm not crazy, I promise. Okay, so anyway, Gina, do you regret tagging me at this point? I didn't know when I tagged the lady, she talks to frogs. Number 6. Are there any books you're certain you've read but cannot remember anything about? And yes, twice. There was one book. I actually read this book. And then I got it again a few years later and I was reading it. And as I was reading it, it took me a good 2/3 into the book as I was reading it. And I was like, you know what? I think I read this before. And then I finished the book and sure enough, yes, I had read it before. And here we are. I've read the book twice. I still don't remember the name of the book or the author of the book. It wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't really a good book. So I don't know, because I don't know the title or the author, I can't help you with that. I can tell you the gist of the book. Maybe some of you have read it and you know the title and the author. There was this woman and she was reflecting on her college years and she was going to get in touch with this man that she knew from college, and she was thinking about having like a romantic escapade, I guess, with this man. They were going to have a weekend and she had this lovely husband. And that's probably why I don't remember the book, because when I read it, I was like, why would you do that? You have this really nice husband. But she was going to go have this weekend with this man from college that she hadn't seen in years. And she was reflecting on her college years and on how this friend of hers in college had been murdered, and she was reflecting on that. The murder was never solved. And then she goes and she's gonna have this weekend with the man, and then go figure, the man is actually the murderer that, murdered her other college friend. And so obviously she can't have an affair with him now. So she thinks she's going to go back to her husband. But, and she does in her mind, I think she was like, oh, well, he won't know. I was going to have this, illicit affair with this guy. He'll never know. And then somehow the husband finds out. So that's the book. I read it twice. I don't remember the title or the author. I don't particularly recommend the book. Well, obviously not, since I told you the whole story. But it wasn't a bad book. It wasn't like, oh, this is an awful book, I never read this. It was just, it didn't make an impression on me. So much so that I got halfway through it a second time before I realized, oh, I read this book before. I didn't especially like it that much. But I didn't not like it. So either time, I didn't hate it. Okay, so have you ever recommended a book that you love to someone and they started telling you everything they didn't like about it? No. Does it bother you? In other words, do your feelings get hurt when someone doesn't love your favorite books? No, not at all. I don't expect other people to love my books or anything. I do have people, though, that are like, oh, what are you reading? Tell me, because you recommend good books. But if somebody really hated my taste in books, that would be okay with me. I'm pretty comfortable with who I am, and I'm thrilled to find out about other people and their interests, and we don't have to have the same interests. The only thing I can think of is I am a Christian, and so I worry sometimes that maybe the book I'm reading is ungodly. You know, like, is it a sin to read this book because there's a murder in it? Or like Sandra Brown, you know, I love Sandra Brown books, but sometimes I worry, like when it gets to the romantic scenes, I think it's really not Christian to be reading this. And so I sort of gloss over it when I'm reading. And I don't know if that's silly or not. I know that my pastor loves Agatha Christie books. He's often talked with me that, you know, he really likes Agatha Christie. So I don't think it's, you know, a bad thing to be reading a murder mystery. But sometimes I do wonder about that, you know, when I'm reading. That's not to say that I am offended if somebody doesn't share my taste in books, but I think it would bother me if somebody said, you shouldn't be reading that. That's not really something that, you know, a godly woman should be reading. That might give me pause. That might worry me. I would still decide for myself, but sometimes I do wonder, like, is it wrong that I'm really enjoying this book? So I don't know if that's the answer to the question, but that's something that's on my mind that feels relevant. Okay, almost done. Number 8, what is your worst experience loaning a book to someone? I don't have a lot of books. I tend to read them and give them away. I don't like a lot of clutter and things. Not that books are clutter, but I personally, I like to have sort of a minimalist look in my house. And so I tend to give books away. There have been times where I've loaned someone a book and I've said, you know, this book is important to me, I would like it back, and I don't get it back. And then if I want the book badly enough, I'll go out and buy another one. Like when I had mentioned the Fool Me Once that I got for $0.25 at the library, I loaned it to somebody and didn't get it back. And, you know, I like those kind of books to keep in my classroom. Well, now I have an office for students to share books with students. So, you know, if I loan somebody a book that I would like to be in my office that I can give to students or something, or maybe it's just a book that's special to me and I don't get it back, that's a little bit annoying, but not too terribly. Now, while I'm on the subject of students, I do want to say something. This is not part of the tag, but it is something that I'm excited to share. So I have a group of 3 girls that I'm trying to get to do like a reading group where we can read together and have sort of a book club. And I was talking with them about different books and, you know, what kind of books would you like to read, you know? And I talked about a few, and I mentioned this one and I mentioned that one, and they sounded interested in One of Us is Lying. So I ordered from Amazon, One of Us is Lying. I was really thrilled to see that the hardbacks were $11 this week at Amazon. And the paperbacks on thrift books were like $12, and they were, you know, good condition. They weren't even like excellent condition. So when I saw the $11 brand new hardbacks on Amazon, I bought one for each of my students, and I'm excited that we're going to read these and discuss these. And I was willing to part with $33. And I'm going to keep them. You know, I'm going to want the girls to give them back and keep them in my office, not classroom, office, so that I can pass them on to other students if they're interested. And I'm excited to start a little book club about One of Us is Lying. That'll be my first book. Okay, and then I think there's 2 more questions. Show me some of your impulse buys that you've never read. I give up. I need my glasses. Okay. I had printed the questions out nice and big, but this one I didn't. It's single spaced, so I need to see with my glasses. Show me some of your impulse buys that you've never read. You know the ones you bought at midnight while online shopping, or when you were walking through a bookstore and the magic of all the books made you grab a few too many. And we can't forget those books at such a good price that somehow make it into our shopping bags. So bargain books, I mean, I'm not really, I mean, I was in a bookstore and the books were 4 for 20. Yes, 4 for 20 in the book warehouse I saw at the beach this summer. And the books were 4 for 20 and these were 3 for 20. So I must have bought more than 4. But I'm not sure how because if it's 3 for 20 and this one's 4 for 20, maybe I ended up with 7 books. I don't know. But I ended up with all these books because of the 4 for 20, 3 for 20 thing. And I haven't read them yet, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to. I did read this one and I really loved it. So I'm not sure if this is a frustrating book issue. What is it? Impulse buy. Yeah, it's an impulse buy and it's books I bought for the right price, but I'm happy about it. It's not frustrating. I did read this one and I am going to post my review of this one in December. I loved this book for what it's worth. Loved it. Never heard of the author, never heard of the book. Bought it because it was 3 or 4 for 20 and loved it. And then I also bought, when I did that, I bought this one, Someone Like You. And that one sounds really good. It's about a guy whose wife passed away and he finds out that she had a sister. And so he wants to get to know the sister. And Under the Table, I like books about restaurants and cooking. I don't remember if this was a romance or if it was about somebody with a restaurant or a cook, but I like cooking type books. I like to eat, I like to cook. And then 4 of a Kind is about 4 women that get together and I think their daughters go to the same school or something and they get together and play cards and then you find out about them. I like those kinds of friendship books. So, I mean, I got them because you had to buy X amount to get the price, but I genuinely look forward to reading them. So, but that's the only answer to the question that I can give you because I see like Gina Sanyer Books, she has this beautiful bookshelf. And then a couple of other people have these great bookshelves and all these wonderful books. And I love to read, but I don't usually hold on to books. I love to give things away too. And I especially love when I give a book to somebody and they come back and say, that was a really good book. Thank you so much. So, I don't know. Those are my books. I don't have a lot of them, which takes me to the last question. Just to make you hate me a little bit more, how many unread books are on your shelves? So in addition to these 4, I have my bookshelf. It's actually a book basket that I have. So I will take that for you and show you now. These are my unread books. So it's not a whole lot of them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's an unlucky number. Oh, you know what? 14. So I don't have to worry about the unlucky number 14. This one, because this was another one that I bought as a bargain that I was going to talk about in the last question. But again, I really want to read it. I think I saw it at Goodwill and it was just a really good price. So I grabbed it and I would like to read it. I'm looking forward to reading it, but I did buy it because of the price. So what is that? 14 books. And I don't know if I will read all these or not. And of these 14, this one, for example, I bought for my son. I was trying to talk my son into reading this and he didn't want to read it. So some of these are not even, I mean, I guess I could put this in my office and let some of my students read it. It's supposed to be pretty good. Amazon said it was a good book. Okay, so that's it. I believe those are the questions. Those are all of the questions. Thank you so much, Gina, for tagging me. And thank you to those of you who have held on this long. And now I am going to tag a few other people. All right, so here I go. I'm going to tag some people now. And I just want to say tagging people was difficult for me, and the reason why is because I created 2 tags in December, and I've already tagged some of these people, and that hasn't been posted yet. It's going to be posted in December. So if I tag you too much and it gets on your nerves, just don't do, the tag. But I was gonna not tag the people that I've tagged or that will be tagged by me in the coming weeks. But then I thought, no, you know what? I'm just gonna tag everybody, and if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead because I just want to shout out to so many different people that I like so very much. So I'm gonna start. Gina is, one of my favorite booktubers, but since she tagged me, I'm gonna start with some other favorite booktubers. One of my first friends in the booktube community was Kieran at New Breeders. So I'm going to tag Kieran. Kieran is out in India, and she just faithfully watches my videos. I'm guessing she's the one that always gives me the like and usually comments. And I just feel like she was one of the first booktubers I met as soon as I started booktubing, and I feel like we've been on this journey together. So I would have to tag Kieran at New Breeders. And then my next friend in booktube was Bill Rittenberg. He gave me a wonderful shout out when I was, very early into booktubing. I'm still very early into booktubing. It hasn't even been a year. So definitely Bill Rittenberg. And then Shelley Swearingen started watching me because Bill Rittenberg gave me a shout out. And Shelley is just a breath of fresh air, always so lovely and positive and energetic. And you just have to watch her videos, if for no other reason to be called y'all. I don't know, I'm Northerner, but I love to be called y'all, and she's just so endearing, and there's just nothing that you could not fall in love with when you watch Shelley's. Oh, and she's got this adorable little puppy, and these 2 little blonde boys that are just so cute. So definitely wanted to give her a shout out. And Miss Reads a Lot, Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot. I wanted to give her a tag, so I'm tagging Sandy. I'm gonna tag you again though later, Sandy. So if you're feeling overly tagged, just ignore me. And let's see. Some other ones that I wanted to throw out to you that are booktubers that I enjoy, that I don't usually engage with quite as often, but I want you to know I do enjoy their channels and I watch their videos. So I'm going to tag them, and that would be Sarah Caroli is a booktuber. I don't know that she's actually a booktuber. She's done a couple of different types of like vlogs and things like that. I like her book videos, so I like the books that she recommends, and so I occasionally watch Sarah Caroli's book videos and follow through on her recommendations and read them. So I wanted to mention her channel. Sarah, I know you don't know me personally, but I am tagging you. So I would like you to do this book tag. And then Alice and the Giant Bookshelf is one that I've been watching recently. Shelley Swearingen gave her a shout out, and I started watching her. So I'm going to tag you, Alice. Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. And then Chelsea Palmer is one that I would like to tag as well. So Chelsea, I've never engaged really with you very well, but at all, very well. It makes it sound like, we don't have a positive relationship. We don't have any relationship except that I enjoy your videos. And so I am also going to tag Chelsea Palmer. And those are my tags. That's a lot of them. I suspect some of them have already been tagged with this one, but I can't exclude anybody, especially when I have so many wonderful, wonderful booktuber friends. I want you all to know that I enjoy your channel, and I enjoy this friendship that I'm making with so many of you. And so if you don't want to be tagged, just pay no attention to that lady. She talks to frogs. But if you want to be tagged, I look forward to your video. And thank you all so much for listening and for just being such a wonderful community. And I love being a part of your community. So I'm finally going to end this video, but I have some other ones coming out that I can't wait to show you, especially in December. I've got 2 tags lined up for you guys. So see you soon.